Well, we did it, folks. World's first trillionaire. Let's go! Yay! Yay! You can
It is certainly
feel the energy.
hard to believe that a little company that started in a warehouse in El Segundo
Well, he wasn't there, mind you.
is now going public for with the largest IPO.
No, wait, I was wrong. Sorry, I was thinking of Tesla. He was actually there for SpaceX, wasn't he?
That ever. And let me tell you, if people had told me this was gonna happen, I was like, man, you must be smoking some really good crack. Because I think this company's gonna fail.
Dude, look at his fucking
This
stupid
company's
ass
gonna fail.
monkey face, man. It's crazy. Drugged up. Oh, you know he's on the fucking moon right now, 100%.
We want to be able to take anyone who wants to go to the moon, anyone who wants to go to Mars, or anyone in the solar system, and maybe beyond the solar system at some point. We want to be able to take you there. Not just a few astronauts. I mean you. And I'm confident at this point that...
How are the historians going to explain this, man? Yeah, the world's first trillionaire was a guy who made mega moolah off a car company that doesn't produce cars. And, well, I mean, you know, relative to its valuation. And a space company that has consistently underperformed his promises time and time again, year after year. I saw a Kalshi listing the other day. I saw a betting pool on whether SpaceX takes humans to Mars in this year, 2026. You know what the odds were? It was 72 to 28. They're selling $1.28 for $1.
With the incredible team that we have here at SpaceX, that we will do that for you.
Incredible stuff, really. Man. USA Today just has a stock ticker. We're up 28%. I'm telling you, man. How long is it? How long is it before the NASDAQ starts listing people's indices? It's gonna, the nanosecond your retirement funds get auto-invested, this shit's going to fucking plummet, man. It's gonna go down into the ground. 15 days? 5? I thought it was 5. Was it someone else that was 5, or one of the other indexes? Oh, it got reverted back to 15. That's nice. Russell's 5? Okay. Tom Lee, should you invest in the SpaceX IPO? Hold on one second. Should retail investors get in on an IPO? Let's find out.
A fixed amount of money. Tom, would you invest in these IPOs?
These are some of the most important companies led by what they call N of one people. I mean, I don't know.
Jesus Christ.
If there will be another Elon Musk in our generation. So
oh my God.
For investors who have not owned Tesla, this is a chance for them to have exposure to Elon Musk and all of what he's envisioned. And again, the addressable market for AI and especially data center, and as you move into space, is actually sizable.
It's insane to still be doing this bit in 2026.
Yeah, I mean, what do you make of the SpaceX IPO, Tom? I mean, kind of to follow up on Kelly's point, fixed amount of money, would you invest? Okay, fine. But you were saying...
This guy's a full-time contributor on CNBC. Even the people who run Wikipedia think he's a fucking retard. Look at the picture they chose for him. It's all a sick joke. Chief equity strategist at JP Morgan Chase & Co. His research attracted critics. In 2002, a publicly listed company, Nextel, was critical of his research. The Discord gained national media attention? What? He's so bad at his job that as a chief equity strategist, national attention was paid to his research. Do you have any idea how fucking boring that is? Oh my God. First major Wall Street strategist to provide formal research coverage of Bitcoin. Okay, yeah. And he promoted coronavirus misinformation. His company's sitting on $8 billion in unrealized losses. Tom Lee's? Nice. On an Ethereum position? I can't believe this shit's real, man. Go on CNBC for some, me, a retail investor, go on CNBC for some investing advice. This could be your last chance to get on the ground floor of a generational thinker's IPO. Take a look at the guy recommending it, sitting on 8 billion in losses on Ethereum. Holy shit. Oh my God. However, Lee is still doubling down. Genuinely, do these people get by just on social connections and nothing else? Yeah, it's always been like that. Also, this guy's like a loyal agent of capital. I mean, he's literally just here to pump up the financialization. Listen, he's not failing upward. Well, his company might be failing, but he's doing his job. His job is to get sucker retail investors in to, you know, to embiggen the float, so that the commercial, the financiers can pull out at the right time. Like, he's doing his job properly, you know?
Some of your clients are suggesting it might be the market top, and you disagree with that, but why are they saying that? Like, what is it about SpaceX that seems to be kind of enveloping the entire
It's the audio desync.
markets? Imagine.
Oh, because we're not on CNBC. We're on Fundstrat. Is this his YouTube channel? Of course it is. Dog's so incompetent he can't sync his fucking audio and video for his own YouTube channel when he pulls CNBC segments. Jesus Christ.
Nation.
Yeah, Brian, there is some correct observation that an institutional investor could make, which is SpaceX is really a two-part public offering. There's the IPO, and it's going to be $75 billion. The second part is the unlock of the 1.7 trillion of shares that are held by private investors, many of which have made generational wealth being seed investors. That unlocks 6 months later. Now, many people are going to look back to 99 and say, hey, when that unlock happened, then the market topped because now you're releasing massive supply. One reason I think it's going to be less of a pump and dump is out of the way, but less of a sell everything after.
Okay, never mind. Maybe it is just all connections. Maybe he is really bad at his job. Why the fuck did he just say pump and dump out loud while describing? I think this is going to be less of a pyramid scheme. And he like stammered over it 3 times? Jesus Christ.
The lockup expiration is that these AI companies, including SpaceX, aren't fully funded. So they are going to try to maintain.
I feel like the big determining factors in whether or not you get in these schemes is like, A, you need to be servile, and B, you need to be well connected. And servility tends to correlate with low intelligence. Like, I think that generally speaking, intelligent people tend to think themselves out of these positions. Like you take a look at like the grifter conservative space, you know? The ones that do the best are the ones that just tout the party line. They don't think, they don't question it, they just run with it. If you think yourself out of it, you end up going down these weird esoteric bubbles where eventually you just fall out. Look at like Christopher Rufo. Wait, no, that's not the right person. Who am I thinking of? The guy who used to be like one of the brain trusts of the conservative movement, who was like, we invented the critical race theory. You know what I'm talking about? You're not going to help me. Yarvin? No, not Yarvin, though he also kind of fits in this category. Was it Rufo? Maybe it was Christopher Rufo. Okay, yeah. Peter Thiel's heavy on this? Yeah, that's why no one fucking listens to him anymore.
A cadence of information and a relationship with public markets to make sure they can access capital markets for the next 5 years. So I think that's why I'm not as bearish about these sizable IPOs and the subsequent lockup, which is 6 months later. So if someone's trying to call the top, they should be thinking 6 months out. But again, I'm not that bearish about that.
Not that bearish about that, but I think you're right. The whole world watching.
He doesn't even have anything to say, man. All right, well, there's your how to trade the SpaceX IPO without getting crushed. Man, there's a lot of hype on this.
The SpaceX IPO in the final stages before making its debut. And Leslie Picker joins us now from the floor of the trading floor of Morgan Stanley.
If Musk had known SpaceX, would you still abjectly shit all over it? I'm not sure what you mean. SpaceX as a company is irrelevant, what we're talking about here. The total product of their work and labor and output is meaningless. What we're talking about is SpaceX as a financial vehicle, a speculative asset to be owned and traded. It has literally nothing to do with the actual fundamentals of the company and everything to do with its financial potential, which has a lot to do with Elon Musk. So I get the question is like, would you still hate SpaceX if Elon Musk wasn't attached to it? To which the answer is no, because SpaceX itself isn't really what I hate. Like, how often do I come on here and I'm like, I hate SpaceX, the company? It doesn't really happen, right? Elon is a pedophile Nazi, yes, so he earns his hate, but it's really about the broader financial vehicle, you know?
New York City, the stabilizing agent and one of the big underwriters behind this major IPO. Leslie.
Hey, Andrew, now that SpaceX has officially priced its record-breaking IPO, bankers here at Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs and the other book runners are calling hundreds of investors and letting them know how much stock they'll receive out of what they requested. This process started last night. It continues into the morning until all of the orders are confirmed. It's a bullish sign for investors to receive these calls and be told that they're only getting a fraction of the shares that they had requested.
Oh, I bet.
This process, you know, that's why many investors tend to inflate their indications of interest because they expect to get cut back. So even though...
Which single policy, in your opinion, would do the most to definancialize the economy? A simultaneous launch of all thermonuclear warheads into low orbit, where they would detonate and blanket the Earth in a fiery maelstrom of electromagnetic activity, disrupting all our computer systems and resetting us back to zero. I think, like, yeah, from like a policy perspective, that would probably be like the number one. Yeah, I think that'd be. I think like the average liberal policy wonk would get on board with that too if you pitched it to them right.
I'm told this deal was 5 times oversubscribed. The actual demand will kind of be determined from this process. Advisors will get a clearer picture of demand once they get through these phone calls. But SpaceX won't start trading as soon as the so-called syndicate is broken. It will take hours and hours, and that's really where the stabilization agent comes in. In this case, it's Morgan Stanley. A key part of that job is making the market for SpaceX stock, pulling in the buy and the sell orders and studying them to determine what price it should open. If it opens to...
What about SpaceX? Do you think it's worthwhile? I'm not, again, like, this has nothing to do with SpaceX. The IPO has literally nothing to do with what SpaceX does, with its patents, its work, the rockets. None of them have anything to do with it. SpaceX could have 0 employees. It could have no rockets, no technology, no land, and it would not make a difference. It is the company itself is irrelevant. We are trading on the name alone. That is it.
Low, the stock could overshoot. If it opens too high and there's not enough support, it could fall. So the goal is to open with as little volatility as possible. Morgan Stanley traders here will be looking, you know, essentially for enough volume to feel comfortable opening SpaceX shares, and that can take hours. So we'll probably not see a first trade until after lunchtime, guys.
I talked to a bunch of people last night, a lot of hand-wringing, lots of frustration from a number of firms that were trying to get allocation.
Hold on one second. As long as CNBC is the... I want to see what they're saying about retail investors. Like, I want to see how complicit they are in hyping up retail investment. I feel so fucking bad for all of the, like, barely educated Bitcoin bros that tried to get in on the IPO, got denied because of the overpopularity of the stocks, and then once it opens up, they're gonna go all in on the IPO, like after it's devalued 30%, and they're gonna hold it as it devalues another like 40%. Oh man.
SpaceX launches its IPO on Friday, and the rocket maker is set to make history in more ways than one. setting the price at $135 a share instead of a range, speedrunning its roadshow, cutting off orders a day earlier than normal, and aiming to go public at an eye-popping $1.75 trillion. Traders are eager to get a piece, and soon retail investors, everyday people with a brokerage account, will have their shot at as much as 30% of the SpaceX IPO allocation when it begins trading. That target blowing past the typical IPO, which normally sees just 5 to 10% set aside for retail investors.
The biggest red flag imaginable. It's like they were bored. It's like they're so desperate to crash the economy by taking all the money up that they were bored with the idea of setting aside only 10% for retail investors. Over in the SpaceX Elon pedophile boardroom, they were like, you know, only 10%, only fucking 200 billion being taken from retail investors. We can do better than that, can't we?
But there's a lot you should know before buying in. All signs point to a big first-day pop when SpaceX begins to trade on the NASDAQ. Our analysis of high-performance IPOs found that even in the short term, it's difficult for companies that have a blockbuster debut to keep the momentum going. Case in point, Alibaba, Coinbase, DoorDash, Snowflake, which saw an over 100% gain on its first day of trade, underperformed 6 months later. Now, that's no guarantee of how SpaceX will perform. There's lockup expirations, the path to profitability, and other...
Not to mention, SpaceX is literally the most overvalued IPO in, like, history by a huge order of magnitude.
Market dynamics all play a role in the performance of newly listed companies, but on average, the data shows that big one-day pops can often be a warning sign. SpaceX wants those retail dollars, though, that 30% amount to roughly $22.5 billion. And brokerages, including Fidelity, Robinhood, SoFi, and Morgan Stanley's E-Trade, are among those lining up to make shares available. Fidelity went as far as to reduce the minimum amount of cash required in a brokerage account from $100,000 to just $2,000.
Jeez. Yeah, it's genuinely like, it's just open malice. They're like, we need to take everyone's money. Everybody who has an index fund, everyone with a 401k, all retirement money. It doesn't matter if you have like pennies to your name. We're taking all that shit. We're breaking the rules for this one IPO because we see it as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to rug pull the entire population of the world.
Any investor thinking of getting in and selling to make a quick buck may want to think twice. Ahead of SpaceX's IPO, Fidelity and Charles Schwab...
To be clear, decisions like this are being made because they hate you. If you don't have the financial literacy to understand everything else we're talking about, understand this specifically. A room full of wealthy men made this decision laughing at you. It's a decision they made to profit off of your suffering. They know they're doing it for this reason. There's no other reason to do it. They're just doing it to fuck you over. Like the decision to do this from Fidelity should be viewed with the exact same amount of contempt as ExxonMobil finding a loophole in environmental regulations that allows them to dump 500 billion gallons of toxic sludge into rivers every year. Like that is the level we're operating on here. They know they're being evil.
Amount of cash required in a brokerage account from $100,000 to just $2,000. But any investor thinking of getting in and selling to make a quick buck may want to think twice. Ahead of SpaceX's IPO, Fidelity and Charles Schwab reinforcing to investors who sell allocated shares in the first 15 days of trade that they will be restricted or even blocked from participating in future IPO deals. At Robinhood and SoFi, it's 30 days. The question...
Dog. Diamond hands? We're actually going to tape your hands shut. How is this even legal? Infinite financial rape, man. If you win in this market, they'll kill you. Yeah, they're literally... Look, dog, look at this. Third occurrence, permanently restricted, tracked via social security number. They're like, you will hold the bag when we sell. You will hold the bag when we sell, or we will come to your house and rape your mother in front of you. We will kill you. We will kill you if you sell. Fuck diamond hands. We are stapling your hands shut.
The question is, does this policy help instill more stability in SpaceX trading, Or does it put smaller, everyday investors at a disadvantage? Now, once the company goes public, investors will be watching to see how quickly it will be added to the NASDAQ 100. NASDAQ did adopt a fast entry rule that allows large companies to bypass the traditional waiting period. SpaceX was also gunning for
Wow, really? What a surprise.
unprecedented early index entry into the S&P 500 index that would have seen it included in retirement funds and pensions. That was blocked as the S&P 500 reiterated requirements that companies must be profitable for the sum of its most recent 4 quarters before entry. All right, beyond
Specifically to allow SpaceX to get the world's biggest rug pull.
index inclusion, investors will be counting down to SpaceX's first earnings report as a public company and what the company is doing to ease its cash burn. The S1 did reveal that SpaceX posted a net loss of nearly $5 billion in 2025, the primary culprit being Elon Musk's XAI business. That's its AI infrastructure bet. And that business, of course, where expenses tied to GPUs continue to rise. The question is whether investors are willing to overlook SpaceX's massive investments in hopes
Why
that
did the S&P 500 block SpaceX from getting into retirement funds? Honestly, I think that was the one time that the adults in the room prevailed. The S&P 500 not lowering the index investment rules. I think that was the one, like that. Those were the one group of people. I view the people over at the S&P who decided not to lower their entry date are like, what was the name of the Soviet submarine captain who overrode his immediate superior officer and decided not to fire nukes during the standoff during the Cuban Missile Crisis? I feel like that's the position they're in. Petrov? Yeah. Captain Petrov or whatever. Submarine Captain Petrov. Like over at S&P 500, they're getting angry calls from everyone. Fucking Trump, Stephen Miller, SpaceX, Tesla, everyone. They're getting chatted. They're like flop sweating. They have their hand over the red button of Vasyl Arkhipov. Why does chat always give me the wrong name at first, even when I was very specific with who I was referring to? Like multiple people gave me the wrong name at first, even though there's one guy I could be thinking of here. Whatever. The point is the S&P 500 made the right choice. They alone decided to be the adults in the room. They're still evil. They just got a bunch of complaints from retirement funds. Yeah. But like, I'm glad they did the right thing, you know?
Musk can make XAI profitable and orbital data centers a reality.
Yippee. Why Wall Street has never seen a company like SpaceX. Oh yeah, I bet. Every single decision that has been made at every level is just designed to maximize the effect of the rug pull.
It's outrageous. It's stupid. It's unreasonable, to be frankly honest with you. The valuation is really, really aggressive, in my opinion.
That was Marvin Jung, a 51-year-old retail investor.
I think there were 2 Russian guys that did the same thing and refused to fire the nukes 2 separate times. Yeah, except I said submarine officer, which means that only one of those guys is relevant. So, like, that's no excuse. Chad is wrong. I'll be banning all of you in real life once I find out I'll be going back through the logs.
And regional director of operations in veterinary care, talking about SpaceX. The company is expected to go public at a valuation of nearly $1.8 trillion, making it one of the world's most valuable companies before most public investors have ever had a chance to buy a single share. But this estimate is being thrown into question. Morningstar analysts wrote they, quote, think the company has been significantly overvalued.
Why the fuck is YouTube chat talking about orbital AI data centers? That shit's sci-fi. What are you talking about?
Investors will have opportunities to buy the stock at more attractive levels after the IPO. Despite this, Marvin still wants in.
I used Robinhood and I requested about 1,000 shares.
Marvin's not alone. Of the 5 retail investors we spoke with, SpaceX's valuation is not enough to stay away. Some are treating it as a long-term bet, while others think of it as more of a short-term trade on hype.
Jesus fucking Christ. Long-term bet, but you're getting in on the IPO. What are you doing, man?
Demand and scarcity.
Never bet against Elon.
For me, this is a long-term investment that I'm hoping to hold not for a week or a month or even a year, but the next 10 plus years.
I'm still on the fence. I really feel there's pros and cons to the SpaceX IPO. We all have FOMO. You don't want to miss out.
I am agnostic. I don't really care if the stock goes up or down because I'm a trader. I will make money on volatility.
Here's why these...
In fairness, in the current market environment, it's very possible he's one of these several 100,000 people who are getting direct insider trading advice from the White House. Like, he could have a distant relative who's working as like a White House staffer, and every time they're about to pump or dump, he gets a text. So he could be right. Yeah, he could be with Axios.
Retail investors want a piece
Fucking
of SpaceX.
Barack Ravid's right-hand man.
Even at one of the richest IPO valuations in market history.
You know the Pentagon Pizza Index? I've got a better one, okay? The Barack Ravid keylogger, all right? Anytime that motherfucker sits down and starts typing something, you know it's time to flip some shares. Right then, right there, baby.
This IPO is unique because SpaceX wants retail investors to receive roughly 20 to 30% of shares, which is much higher than the norm.
Wait, this is that guy? He has 2 million subscribers? Nice. Oh my god, the fucking Indian YouTube channel, hyper contrast slop finance channel. Oh no, he's got the damn this is not financial advice opening.
Happen that often. It's not in every, 30. Now we're getting a second candle of pullback. Our high action that a lot of people are probably watching it, but
I got in the wrong career.
The company expects each share to cost $135 at IPO. This valuation has been particularly difficult for even institutional investors to judge because SpaceX cannot be valued like a normal IPO. Investors are trying to price a business that includes satellite internet, launch services, defense contracts, and now a growing bet on AI infrastructure.
Remember, SpaceX is not one business. SpaceX is 3 businesses. It's a communications business.
What?
It's a launch business, and ultimately it's an AI infrastructure business. The one business, the communication business, which is highly profitable, funds the other 2 parts of the business.
On the roadshow, we've seen something unprecedented.
SpaceX announced deals with Anthropic and Google that will add
Dog's on his grind. He doesn't have time to enunciate.
$26 billion in revenue annually. With those partnerships, the company has more than doubled its revenue in the middle of the roadshow. The bull case is that the numbers are changing so quickly
that guy was sued by Biden's FTC, by the way, lol. It's insane how nowadays, basically every time you see a contributor or just like a panelist talking on a mainstream news platform, they have a criminal history. It's basically like an undefeatable, like you will never find a person there, a so-called expert, who is just like a normal expert, like just an academic or a guy who knows a lot. It's always some freak with like an insider angle on it. They always have like an undisclosed financial interest. There's always some fucking financial angle to it. Everyone's just giving each other hand jobs. The real experts are busy with the job. The real experts are busy fucking panic selling everything, pulling it from the market and buying like baked beans.
Traditional valuation model may not fully capture what investors think SpaceX could become.
The way Elon builds companies cannot be put into a traditional valuation framework.
Like this is CNBC, man. These are supposed to be the adults in the room. I know they're not, but like, Jesus Christ.
So speed is his ultimate weapon.
But even some investors who want in admit the current valuation depends on a lot going right.
There's no way you can like multiply your way into like $1.7 trillion market cap anyways. I think it's hinges so much on future execution. And if you're willing to like underwrite like success, like it'll be more than 1.7 trillion.
Ross Cameron, a veteran day trader who runs the YouTube channel Warrior Trading, requested 2,500 shares through Charles Schwab. He says on paper, the valuation is hard to defend.
the SpaceX IPO would be overvalued if it didn't include Elon Musk. Because it includes Elon Musk, it's hard to say, yes, are they valuing it at a historic price to sales ratio? They are. It doesn't really make sense on paper, but this is the right market environment for them to be IPOing, and they're getting that price.
If you look at an absolute revenue multiple, I think the valuation is lofty. But if you think about it as a sum of the parts of three different companies, and you look at the kind of monopolistic market position he has in at least two of those three business segments, I think you could argue there's a premium to be paid.
So the valuation debate goes beyond whether SpaceX is expensive. Most of the investors that we spoke with agree that it is. The real debate is whether CEO Elon Musk...
I get like the real red pill that a lot of people still can't is that everything is a meme stock. There is no valuation debate because valuation is not rational. The only reason the valuation of a company had any kind of relationship with its fundamentals was because of a gentleman's agreement between traders. At least, sure, you have stuff like dividends, like there are connections sometimes depending on the way the shares are allocated or the specific, rules within the company. Like sometimes there is a correlation, but by and large, like the valuation of a company has literally nothing to do with its profitability, and it hasn't for years and years now. So the real red pill that everyone is eventually going to have to wake up and accept is that like there's no argument for or against anything. It's literally just hype. It's just a narrative. There's no actual correlation here.
SpaceX's growth and demand for the IPO can justify paying that price now. And among retail investors, that answer depends on what kind of buyer they are. The 5 investors CNBC spoke with requested access...
Before stock buybacks, when dividends were the main way investors made money, it mattered, but these days it doesn't matter anymore. It's insane to me that making stock buybacks illegal again isn't a more mainstream position when, I feel like it's one of those globehead neoliberal positions, like, well, there's nothing wrong. If you have no R&D to invest into, I don't give a fuck, then give every employee a bonus. Fucking, I can't say a thing on YouTube. It is crazy how, like, making stock buybacks legal again actually did just, like, pop the cork off everything, and there's no going back. The corporate America would never allow it. They would never allow it. They would never allow it under no circumstances. To
SpaceX shares on various trading platforms such as Robinhood and Charles Schwab. They are not guaranteed to get the shares they requested, and they will not find out if they received any until the night before the IPO. Let's start with the traders who are thinking more short term. For them, it's a matter of determining what demand, scarcity, and hype could do in the first few trading days.
I think this has got a pretty good potential to pop strong first day. I'm going to guess at least 30% minimum. My initial strategy is I will be getting in.
The only real thing you trade is the risk the company goes under. Yeah, but how the fuck could SpaceX ever go under when it's being given like $50 squadrillion by venture capitalists, Like it's true, the company could just go under, but how could it ever go under when it has that much like it's a theoretical risk but not a real one, The amount of money it can pull from investors means there's not really a risk. It could lose 10 billion a year. It doesn't matter. There's always more money to pull from investors until there isn't, right? Like eventually you do run out of venture capital, like theoretically at the end of the line, right? At like the very, very, very end of the line, after everything has been consumed, after the last paperclip has been made from the final molecules in the universe or whatever. But that's kind of a doomsday scenario, I think.
IPO day, but I do expect to probably exit within 4 to 5 days. This is just a simple pop. People love IPOs.
I think a trader would have to be out of their mind to consider shorting SpaceX on day 1, day 2, anytime in the first week prior to the inclusion in the NASDAQ 100. That would be insane. With the SpaceX IPO, I typically do trade hype up IPOs because hyped up IPOs on day 1, that's the first opportunity for a retail trader to get a piece of it. And there's always so much FOMO and excitement that is sitting here waiting for the price to begin, waiting for it to start trading.
Retail demand could help drive the trade, but...
I love the market, dog. I love the market. Breaking Virgin Galactic. Traders dump SPCE after realizing it's not SpaceX, SPCX. I love the market so much. Hell yeah, brother. Absolutely.
Could also change the way the trade works. If many retail investors already get shares before the stock opens, Ross says there may be less buying pressure on day 1. Longer term, he's watching another risk, supply.
They did not get approval to be part of the S&P 500. So my concern is that over the next 6 months, while we may see a round...
Opening trading up to the masses was a mistake. Money as a concept was a mistake. In reality, the orcs had the right idea. All wealth should just be like coins, and you have to carry the coins on your person. If you ever leave the coins anywhere that's not on your person, somebody can steal them, and that's legal. And so you're incentivized to like work out. you know? And that way you can hold the most money potentially during your prime working years when you're like 20 to 55 or whatever. And then as you get older, you have to settle for less and less. And that way you stop the overaccumulation of wealth as you get older. Yeah. That's it. It would just fix, it would fix every problem. Economically, it would fix, just like that, it would fix every problem. You just want whatever you can keep on your person. That's the money that you have.
In the first couple of weeks, especially on day 15, with the NASDAQ 100 rebalancing, buying into SpaceX, once we get to the first lockup period expiring, you're going to have some insiders who have been in this for a long time, who probably have a mandate from some of the investors that they're representing to take some profit off the table.
That's why some investors are interested, but still limiting their allocation. Mikey Moran is a 49-year-old retail investor and entrepreneur. He says he will probably buy shares if he gets an allocation, but he's not treating it like a sure thing. He doesn't plan to invest more than $10,000.
I'm willing to take a
Do you
little.
still believe in the concept of money that becomes worthless after a year or so to force a high velocity of money? Yeah, no, genuinely. Yeah. Having some kind of like, I don't know, you could go like a labor voucher. It would decapitalize currency essentially. It would make it impossible to allocate and to reinvest in the way we currently do. There's a million ways you could do this theoretically. But yeah, no. The system right now is just, yeah. Isn't that like 1,000% inflation? Well, no, if anything, it would put like a deflationary pressure on the economy. Give money a half-life? Yeah.
Bit of a risk, but not that much of a risk. Will I buy the allotment that my broker, like a Robinhood or E-Trade, allows? I probably will, because it's historical, but I'm still on the fence of whether it's a good trade. There's much safer bets as far as established companies that I even do business with, and looking at the valuation and the uncertainty of what could happen, it's a little concerning.
So
how would people save for retirement? Truth nuke, you shouldn't save for retirement. The shit you need as an old person should just be given to you. You shouldn't save for retirement. It makes no sense to have an economy where everyone's incentivized to take money out of the economy. The point of the economy is to spend money so that the economy allows currency to circulate. If the most financially rational way to survive is to hoard all of your money, therefore not allowing it to be reinvested or like circulating in the economy, then that would it's an irrational economy. It makes no sense. Money is minted so it can be spent, you know, theoretically. Well, anyway, yeah. The world's biggest rug pull. We'll see how long it takes for the valuation to drop. My guess is that the SpaceX's IPO, it's going to keep going up for a while because they would not be leveraging everything on this big of a rug pull unless there was the possibility to really fucking rape the economy with it, you know? Going to crash the stock market. I mean, anything could theoretically pop the bubble, right? If something was going to pop the bubble, I don't think it'd be SpaceX though, because SpaceX doesn't have the same financial ties to the rest of the AI bubble that some of the big players do, like the Nvidia connections or whatever, or Microsoft or OpenAI. There are AI companies that have bigger real investments in each other that could lead to more of a cascade. But yeah, I mean, eventually it's going to go down. The pure AI company is the most vulnerable, like Anthropic and OpenAI. Anthropic is going to be a damn nightmare, man. Isn't SpaceX bound to XAI? Yeah, but XAI doesn't have the contracts that that some of these other companies do. We'll see how it goes, you know?